We often hear the typical phrase, "No one teaches us how to be parents." And it is completely right, especially because every child is different. However, knowing some common mistakes in raising our children can prevent us from making them. Sometimes the fear of making mistakes makes us equivocate. The pressure in our environment can be great, and in this sense, educating our children is much more than taking into account their studies. It involves promoting responsibility, self-love, autonomy, among other values. This is the story of a boy who had to survive many injustices, the product of the bad decisions of someone he loved. Everywhere in the world, there are parts where people who do not have enough resources to live, especially those who avoid poverty, sadness, and hunger. And that reality was Maya's, a young girl who was an orphan and lived off the state until she turned 18. At that time, she was a waitress in a bar of bad reputation. It was not the best job in the world, but the owner let her sleep in the room behind the bar, and she considered that this was better than living on the streets. She worked in this place for many years. She made many friends, and everyone knew her, and she was very kind to everyone, including the men who had a bad reputation. One day, a strange man arrived at the bar and started flirting with Maya. As he was handsome, he received Maya's attention, but in reality, she didn't want things to go any further. But this man didn't take it well when the young girl rejected him to go to her place when she got off work. So he left the place furious. What Maya didn't know is that that would be the worst night of her life. This man, with rage and anger, waited until the place was empty and attacked the poor girl, abused her, leaving her totally hurt and afraid. Maya was never the same person again after that tragic event. 2 months later, she found out she was pregnant, which created a serious emotional problem for her for carrying the child of a person who had abused her without her consent. All her acquaintances, when they heard about this situation, decided to help her because they knew that her soul was pure and did not deserve to suffer this situation alone. With her savings and the money her friends donated, she managed to rent a small house and continue her work as a waitress. The time of the pregnancy passed, and a beautiful boy was born that gave the name Felipe. The poor girl had many mixed feelings in her heart and knew that this baby was not to blame for what happened, but every time she looked back, she remembered that night with much pain. Her friends helped her to overcome these bad memories and that her baby was a great gift. Felipe grew up in the bar and with the love of music because it was always musical there. He was always a very good and kind boy. Everyone knew him, and the little one had the habit of calling them uncles because in one way or another they were present during his growth. He really was a very happy boy, and Maya was always in charge of giving him what was necessary. Not much, but enough. Felipe never knew the truth about his birth because everyone had kept it a secret. So the boy grew up thinking that his father had died. That was what everyone told him since he was born. But this tranquility was affected when later Maya met a man, the first one who really interested her. The young girl was afraid to give herself to a person she didn't know, but time proved that this man named Jordan was someone good, so they began a love affair that soon turned into something serious, which led them to live together in Maya's house. Felipe was already 11 years old when Jordan came into his mother's life, and since he could see that this made her happy, he accepted this man into his life. He became his modern figure and even called him father. But all this was before Jordan moved into their home, which is where his true personality was revealed. When Maya was away from home, Jordan would take the opportunity to treat Felipe badly, making him get massages and locking him in his room when he brought strange women home. Felipe was just a young boy when he became very afraid of this man. He even threatened to hurt him so that he would not say anything to Maya. Jordan was a playboy who dated vulnerable women and then took advantage of them. That had been the case when he first arrived in town and met Maya. Now this man was living comfortably at the cost of all her work. On the other hand, Maya didn't mind working because she trusted her husband to stay home to take care of her son, so she couldn't be more rude. All her friends warned her that this man was not who he pretended to be, but she didn't take this advice and was very angry with her friends because she thought they were jealous that she was happy and had someone who loved her. After a year of that difficult situation, and because of everything that was happening, Felipe showed a change in his behavior, which scared everyone. He became a rude and disobedient person, with his mother and everyone he called uncles. The only person who could control him was Jordan, but no one knew the reason behind this behavior, so little by little the teenager gained a reputation with everyone in the neighborhood. But certainly no one was able to discover the tragedy that was ready to happen. One night, Maya didn't go to work, and her boss was also her friend, so he was very worried about her. As soon as he closed the bar, he went to Maya's house to make sure everything was okay, but what he found was one of the most traumatic things he witnessed. When he got to the house, he knocked on the door, but no one answered. So after a few minutes, he was forced to open the door with force, and the first thing he saw was Felipe kneeling next to his deceased mother. The young man saw with him an object filled with blood and immediately called the police, totally distraught at what he had just seen. They soon took the boy from the scene, who was very emotional. The police arrived at the young man's home and took him to the police department, thinking that he was also a victim. But hours later, Jordan arrived saying that it was Felipe who had committed this terrible act against his mother and that his motive had been anger for discovering that he was born from abuse. The authorities could not believe what they were hearing. They tried to ask the young man what had happened, but he seemed to be in shock. His neighbors heard misbehaving with his mother. This was an unusual case, and the police did not want to get their hands dirty. They decided to prosecute 14-year-old Felipe for that act. There were many things against him, especially Jordan, his stepfather, who claimed that the young man had committed the crime. The judges just wanted to get the commission for the solved case and did not hesitate to convict the young man for the death of his mother and sentenced him to life in prison. Felipe, who until now had not said anything due to the trauma, accepted his punishment with tears in his eyes. This news became public throughout the country, reaching the ears of a child defense attorney who could not believe that Felipe had committed that crime. Then he contacted Maya's ex-boss, who was the only one claiming Felipe's innocence, and together they built a case in defense of the young man. Several months passed until they had something solid and found the real criminal, Jordan. They made sure to present the case to the public so that there would be media pressure, and finally, after 6 months, Felipe was able to get out of prison and the real villain was arrested. After this, his lawyer and his late mother's friend met him with therapies, and finally the young man was able to talk and tell what happened that night, how he had seen Jordan commit the act and threatened him that if he turned him in, he would do the same to him. It was really a terrible experience for Felipe, and the months he spent in prison were horrible. But with the help of these two people who cared for him, he was able to survive the traumas and fears that fortified him for years. Currently, Felipe is an apprentice at the bar where his mother worked, and when he was ready, he would inherit the bar, as the bar owner had no children and decided to give the ownership of the bar to young Felipe, as he felt that he owes the bar's successful work to Maya, who devoted all her life serving there. There was a happy ending amidst all this sadness. Being a parent is not an easy job. It's not something we learned in school, and it's not something we really studied before starting the job. The only parenting lessons we actually learn were from mistakes our own parents made as parents. They weren't necessarily the best. Self-control is key to good parenting. That is to say, parents who are excellent at raising their children spend a lot more time dealing with their own behavior than that of their kids, as Maya did with her son. Our children did not come into this world with the responsibility of upholding all our rules and standards. They were created to experience this life and make it something that makes them happy and content. Additionally, as they explore, they will do and try a variety of things that can frighten you. Our responsibility is to control our own emotions while they conduct their exploration. It is our responsibility to calmly guide our child up or down the stairs and/or reroute them to a safer area when they are crawling near a set of stairs. Our kid wasn't trying to scare us. They were just being toddlers and investigating their surroundings. This holds true for our teenagers as well. They might investigate friendships with individuals we believe to be bad influencers. They might experiment with drugs, alcohol, and staying up late, among other things. Why do people act in this way? To better understand who they are and what they mean to the world, not to annoy us. Understanding this fundamental idea can help us better grasp our parental responsibilities and lay the groundwork for self-control when our children do not behave as we would like them to. Well, friends, this is the end of this incredible story. We hope, as always, it has been to your liking. If you liked it, give us a like, leave us your valuable comment, share on your social networks, subscribe to our channel, and activate the notification bell so that you are always notified when we have a new video, and in this way you do not miss any of our stories. For now, we only have to invite you to join us in the next one.